If you guys didn't know that MoP is kind of around the corner, I have mixed emotions about it. I think MoP will be fun, but one of my biggest problems, before I even read the Spin Poike post, one of my biggest problems with Classic and going into the old expansions is it's not the same as it was. Like, when you played Wrath, you went through a bunch of different patches that changed the games, right? Changed the meta, changed the games, changed what classes are good, what classes are bad. And when you go into, you know, the classic versions, it happened in classic TBC, it happened in classic Wrath, it happened in class Kata. It's just one patch, right? So it's the whole, you know what classes are going to be good, you know what classes are going to be bad, you know what comps are going to be OP, and it stays that way the entire time. And I feel like probably the same thing is going to happen in MoP. I obviously have a lot of good feelings about MoP, but I just have my doubts about classic PvP in general because, yeah, for lots of different reasons, actually. You know what? We could read this post that Poike made. So he made a really, really long post. I'll probably skim through some of these ideas. He says he's got confirmation from WoW Classic devs that they will monitor a feedback thread on Arena PvP that I've just posted. So, yeah. He says, please participate and bring attention to this post if you love arenas, as I do, and you want to see it thrive. All right, here we go. So it's quite a long post. It's actually not that long, but let's read through it. So here we go. I think this post in summary is a some changes post. Do we need to see some changes in MoP to actually make people want to play it? In my opinion, yes. We'll see what Poike thinks. Said he's taken on the task to create a huge feedback thread, and the community wants to see change with the goal of increasing arena PvP participation in upcoming classic expansions. I'm a fan of the game. I have been for 20 years. Classic is his main focus. With the release of TBC, I stream Classic Arenas and have the unique possibility to interact with the arena community on a daily basis, and I can consider myself to be a well-educated... I would consider myself to have a well-educated opinion on what would be good for the game mode. I have good knowledge as I played at the very top of PvP leaderboards for 15 years straight, and I've had wide success in AWC and the Classic Arena tournaments since 2013. I probably have some of the most arenas played in the entire world, so hopefully that qualifies me as a person that knows what I'm talking about. Okay, qualified it. This post will be long because I want to be elaborative. I'm passionate about arenas, and I've never seen somebody with the influence of the community making posts similar to this, so instead of me ranting about they don't care about PvP, I'm now trying to change that I want to see. All right. I also want to highlight this is our thread, and I want to encourage every single one of you to say your piece about what you think of my suggestions in a constructive manner, but also what changes you would like to see. I've got a promise from the Classic devs that they will read this post and monitor the thread, so if you want to use your voice to be heard, this is our chance. And if you like what I'm suggesting, then make sure you communicate that, because they wanted me to post on the forums to see what you guys think as well. Here's my suggestion. 2 things that must change. End of season rewards returned for 2v2 and 5v5. Before Kata came out, the higher end PvP vouched for titles to be removed from 2s and 5s in order to encourage more people to play 3s. The skill bracket that the game is balanced around, and this turned out to be a great mistake because it changed. That's only appealing for higher end players, but more discouraging for the casual players that has a hard time finding dedicated partners for 3v3 in this day and age. But truly is the downside to not allowing titles from each bracket. You know what's funny? I want to read through this thread and see if there's any sentiment to retail, you know, like rewards in other brackets. Guys, wouldn't that be nice, you know? More rewards in some of the brackets. All right. It's only positive because people love rewards and have a carrot to chase. And in this case, end of season rewards. Okay, so we want some more rewards in other brackets. Heard that. Dampening to start earlier. Dampening is introduced in MoP, and I believe it's on a 10-minute timer. In the 2v2 bracket, this literally feels like a lifetime. The nature of 2v2 is slower. He wants dampening. All right, the nature of 2v2 is slower pace, so I think it's very important that dampening kicks in after 3 minutes in the 2v2 bracket. Otherwise, you run around with the feeling of the game that hasn't started until dampening is kicked in, and the average player is good enough for games to literally not end without the help of dampening in this bracket. I think a 5-minute timer for 3v3 is appropriate since it's more action-packed, and if the 2 teams play well, the game will go to dampening, and that's fine. So, more dampening for 2s, so the pacing is a little bit better. And we have that on retail, of course. I think it's a good idea. This single-handedly can be the most impactful custom change. Custom slots for end-of-season reward titles. This means that instead of having the traditional 0.1% of the ladder obtaining rank 1, and 0.5% of hitting Gladiator. I think there should be a set amount of spots available per bracket that is eligible for titles. In this example, could be the top 100 of each bracket will be eligible for rank 1 and top 250 eligible for Gladiator. We want that too. I think that would be great in retail. I'm gonna be honest, guys. Like, this is another thing that I want in retail. Like, I don't think that. First of all, I like spec-based rewards. I think it's good, at least for the solo brackets. But I think it's hilarious, for example, that 20 Frost Mages get, you know, an end-of-season reward in Solo Shuffle, and 3 Arcane Mages do. And I actually got one of those titles, so I'm not complaining because of that, but I think it's really weird. Another one. Here's another one that's really weird. Why did 50 Disc Priests get a title, you know, and what, like 5 Holy Priests or something like that? I feel like it should at least be consistent, and I'd rather see more. Like, I'd rather there be more... Less, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, this is a retail rant, but yes, I think this is good. Right now the way it works is you get more rank 1 titles based on participation, but when you have inactive seasons, it basically just means that you can't get the titles, which is goofy. Ladder ain't even gonna have 250 people in Classic. Maybe. I mean, I think he's being optimistic. Either way, even if this number isn't the best number, it's still, I think, a good idea. These goals are reachable for the average player. It would greatly encourage them to play and practice PvP. If you use Cataclysm Season 10 as an example, only 8 people were eligible for rank 1. And when you see that, they realize it's too far out of reach, they don't bother playing in the first place. Dude, this is like... I feel like he could just be talking about retail here. I personally really like this idea, and it's been discussed for months in the Classic Arena community, and I guarantee you that it'd make a lot more people PvP. If that doesn't sound like a good idea, then I'm like to propose the retail Gladiator system where above 2400 rating with 20... No, don't do that. You don't want that. Trust me, you don't want that. Believe me, you don't want it. Don't want it. Next goal is too far out of reach as I jump from Gladiator to rank 1, and the system is usually a rating differential of 600 to 800. While on the contrary, if you use custom spots and realistic to reach... Yeah. You don't want that participation award Gladiator. Gladiator was actually pretty hard to get, Magnus. Like, yeah, it was difficult for people. I don't think it was a participation reward. I'd actually like to know what percentage of PvPers got Gladiator, because I think it's pretty small. Not last season. Yeah, well, that's the problem. It's like this whole thing kind of ties into if the season is inactive, all of a sudden the rewards become impossible to get for most people, which is just not good. I don't think it should change so much based off that. All right, individuals not taking up several spots. Something retail does well with end of season rewards is that players, despite having X amount of characters eligible for the season rewards, as opposed to taking up 5 slots, if he has 5 characters eligible, this is a great system and is absolute no-brainer. Classic should adopt it. I will say so far, my biggest thing, guys, and I really believe this, I think I'm not gonna I'll reserve judgment until the end, but I will say, like, all of these I like, but like when it comes to the reward stuff, it seems like it benefits such a small amount of people. You know, I want to talk about changes that actually benefit like normal people, because if just normal players aren't playing, there's no game. You know, like, I think, you know what I mean? Like, Gladiator titles and rank 1 titles are for like 1% of the player base. The other 99%, I think we should focus on that too. PvP power on Season 12 gear. Season 12 gear doesn't have PvP power on it, and it might cause a huge imbalance. I'd encourage adding it. Season 12. What is Season 12? Is that the first season? Why is there no PvP power on Season 1 gear? PvE gear is better than PvP gear. I think there was just Brazil. Oh, okay, yeah, we need PvP. Like, nobody's gonna PvE. Nobody wants to PvE. I'm telling you guys, it's gonna be very important. I didn't even know this. One of the biggest selling points to MoP for me was that I remember PvP gear being the best. So if that's not the case in Season 12, I feel like it's dead on arrival. Like, if I'm being serious, like, if PvPers can't just get PvP gear and that's the best, I think it's instantly dead. I won't care about playing. I'm not gonna raid. So I think this is actually very important. Solo Shuffle support system. Finding partners for arena, because like okay, before I move on, I think there's going to be a lot of retail players. Maybe they didn't play MoP, maybe they did, and they want to play it for nostalgia. I guarantee you, if you tell them they have to raid, no one's doing it. Or a very small percentage of people are going to raid for gear. We don't want that. Solo shuffle / support system. Finding partners for arena is one of the biggest issues and obstacles that people face today. Solo shuffle? People spend hours in LFG searching for teammates just to be met by people lying about their arena experience and general toxicity and impatience. The solution to this is usually people saying, just add solo shuffle to classic. While solo shuffle increases participation in PvP, it usually means people stop trying to play the other brackets just because it's easier to queue solo. I'm not against solo shuffle, but I think creating a system that could help people find teammates would be better solution, and especially if you're going on my suggestion of returning titles to 2v2 and 5v5 as well as adding a set amount of spots for end of season rewards. Unfortunately, I don't have a good idea of what a system like that could look like, but returning the PvP tab to LFG would be a good start. That is still, can anyone please explain to me why they removed the PvP tab from LFG? Like, I'm gonna need someone to explain that to me. Like, when I saw that, I thought it was a bug. In Classic, they literally removed the PvP tab from LFG. Why? Like, who? I need to know why. I don't get it. Like, I don't understand. They removed, there was a PvP tab at LFG and they intentionally removed it. Can anybody please explain that to me? Because that seems insane. Okay. Anyways. Why was it removed in the first place? Good question. Keep in mind that adding Soul Shuffle Classic would mean that a lot more player and work and the necessity to come up with new titles, from what I understand. We don't have the luxury to have that. So, I heard whispers. So I haven't actually experienced this myself, but I did hear whispers, and I kind of want to know how it was received, that there was like some server that was experimenting with solo queue, and basically what you did is you just queued up and it put you in a threes game. You just queued up for solo, it just put you in threes. There's no solo shuffle, there's no 6 rounds. For MoP, they literally just, you queue threes as a solo player, it puts you into threes team. Apparently there's some like secret server that has that. I wonder if that would be a better system. And you have like a solo queue rating. And so like, what I would say is, if they're going to do that where you can solo queue 3v3, I think you have to only play against other solo players. Maybe you could duo. Like if you're a healer, you can pick up a duo. I don't really know. Maybe that would be the advantage of actually playing a healer. You know, because that's one thing that happens in Battleground Blitz. Like Battleground Blitz on retail right now, if you queue up as a healer, you can bring 1 DPS with you, which I think is okay, and it kind of incentivizes people playing healer. And maybe they could do that for the solo queue 3s, where like if you're a healer, you actually can play with a DPS, and then you get a random third. You said absolutely no duo. I don't really care. Like, what I care about is people actually playing the game. Said as a healer, I would love that so much. It's so disheartening to go 3-3 as a healer because I have a DPS that goes 6-0 or 0-6. Yeah. Whatever is going to make people heal, even if that means they get an advantage by bringing a DPS, I'm kind of okay with it. But I think there should be a separate solo queue rating. Why would a duo be bad? Because unfair advantage and blah, blah, blah. But dude, who cares? Cross-faction arena. In my opinion, we should introduce every quality of life change that would increase PvP participation. Why not allow for cross-faction queuing? MoP is a more modern expansion, and I think that would be a great change. Yes. Absolutely. I don't think they'll change that, but yes. Cross-faction arenas. Dude, can you believe it? I don't think they'll do that. I think it was a big undertaking for them on retail, and I don't think they'll do that for Classic, but it would be a good idea. MMR inflation from the start. There's nothing more discouraging from players to feel like you're not progressing because MMR inflation doesn't exist from the start. Wow. When you're playing arenas that you feel like you're making progress and seeing your rating go up, it's validating and fun. We've seen both retail and Classic that happens. There's no inflation. The average player ends up facing rank 1 gladiators on their usual MMR, and it's discouraging, and it makes them not want to play. And they have to be matched against people with their own skill group. Nice. This makes the average player not play until later in the season when the ratings are higher, normally within their MMR range, or they just don't play later in the season. On retails, we've also seen it taking weeks or months for the best players in the world to obtain Gladiator, and that's not a good thing. If it takes that long for some of the best, then what are the chances the average players stand? We need to see crazy inflation to the point where people are 3,800 rating by the end of the season, but it should be there from the beginning and gradually increase. So there are, you guys, having insane ratings does create some problems. Okay? And I want to try to explain this to you. So I'm going to use a graph. I'm going to give you guys a visual. Okay? So when you have inflation just skyrocketing to the moon, one of the main issues with that is... actually, let me just show you. Let's see here. Solo shuffle stats. Or within ladder stats. I think it will show here. So if we go to Battleground Blitz and we go to rating distributions. Let's see. So this is one of the problems when you have that system is... So this is actually an experiment we can see in real time. So this is Battleground Blitz. Let me just look at both of these. So this is Battleground Blitz. And you can see that from the range of, let's go, where's 99 percentile? So from the range of 2,900 to 4,000 rating is less than 1% of the player base. It's 0.8% of the player base from yeah, you're talking about 1,100 rating where only 0.1% of the population, or less than 1% of the population is playing. So when you're in those high ratings, you're going to sit infinite queues. That's the big problem. Everyone is just clumped down here. And when you have, the option to go all the way to the moon, when you're queuing at like 27, 28, 29, 3, 31, 34, 37, 38, 4,000, like you're only going to be able to play against like 10 people. You know, you have like 10, 20, 30 people in the entire game you can play against. And that's when queues are crazy. So I don't know if I necessarily agree that, like, I think there should be inflation, but I don't necessarily think it needs to be 4,000 because I think it does create some problems. But I also think what he's talking about here is, that's why I honestly think Gladiator is better when it's an end of season reward. I'm just gonna say it. I think it's better when Gladiator's an end of season reward. That's what I think. Disable class stacking in arena. Class stacking should be disabled for the same reason double healer composition isn't allowed to promote stale and lame gameplay for the most part. It's overpowered. Double rogue compositions in TBC and Wrath of Lich King are good examples. Double healer compositions. By the way, you're still able to respec inside of arena. Can you play double healer? Which makes people play double heal. Yeah, no double healer. I don't know if I care about class stacking that much. What? Is there, I don't even remember. In MoP, is class stacking good? Like what do people class stack in MoP? I actually don't know. Is there any class stacking in MoP that's actually good? I feel like this is kind of like not that big of an issue. Double healer is lame though. Double healer is super lame. Double mage? You play double mage? Okay. I mean, I don't really care. Sure, remove class stacking. This is not important to me, but I don't like double healer. Double healer is super lame. Random side note, one of the biggest issues in Classic has been that we've had PvE in order to collect our PvP bis, and thankfully that problem goes away in MoP. So that change alone is going to encourage a lot more people to play, including people from retail that's already used to getting good gearing system, because that's likely a big discouragement for them. Yep. Yes, it is. Thank you for reading, and once again, I want to emphasize the importance of discussing everything in a friendly and constructive manner. Whether you agree with me or not, if we're being negative and hateful towards each other, the developers, then how could we expect them to listen? Let's work together and show them that we're a strong and passionate community that is worthy of having our game mode cared for. Much love, guys. John Minpoike. If you guys want to interact with this post, you can. We can look at some of the comments, I guess. Let's see. You're writing the LFG part. Everyone always speaks about how it's a problem that everyone always complains, but how would you fix it? Nobody has any idea. Yeah, screw LFG. That's what I'm saying, man. I don't care about LFG. I do care about LFG a little bit, but I really think they just need a solo queue mode. I think this is the perfect experiment for MoP to put in. And I know it's not hard to put in because the private server guys did it in one day. I don't believe that it's a hard system to implement because I'm pretty sure the people that work on MoP private servers, it's like 1 or 2 dudes that did it in a single day. So I think they could implement it if they wanted to. Not hard. And I think it would be a great experiment, even for retail, to see how it goes. But I really like the idea that a healer can queue with a DPS, makes more people heal. If you're a solo DPS, you know, you can get into that trio or with that duo and just game it up. I like it. Solo queue is already in the game because of skirmishes. They just have to add rating to it. Exactly. And they already have a hidden... By the way, there's already hidden rating on skirmishes. All right, cool. Anyways, what do you guys think? My personal opinion is if they don't make any changes to classic PvP, you're gonna see participation just fall off a cliff. It's gonna be the same thing. It's like this is Eopol. Okay, so you're gonna see participation sky high in season 1, and then it's gonna start dwindling quickly, and it's not gonna recover. Season 2. Dwindle. Season 3, dwindle. Season 4, dwindle. And that's what it's gonna look like. And they have to make some implementations. They have to change things a little bit. Otherwise, it's gonna be exactly like we saw in Wrath and Kata and yeah. Anyways, yeah.